All right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live. Coming at you on a Monday here. Betting Weekly Studios, part of the Bet Rivers Network. Mike Carver here with you, along with Doug Kezirian, as we get ready for a new week of Betting Weekly Live. And with the immortal Sports Equinox tonight. Everybody's in action. NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA. Everybody's ready to roll. Doug, happy Monday, buddy. How are you?
No, it's exciting for sports fans. I wouldn't say it's the most logical bet you can make, but sometimes we bet to satisfy our sports thirst. Kind of like collecting baseball cards, your favorite players, or putting posters up when we were kids back in the day. So it's okay. Just dip your toe in if you would like, if you're going to do it. But very sneaky, awesome Monday here, right? Huge NBA slate. You got Monday Night Football. Chiefs are right now the gold standard in the NFL, Super Bowl favorites. And oh, by the way, Game 3 of the World Series that is not going to be a walk in the park for the Dodgers. So very competitive games across the board. I'm fired up.
Yeah, let's do it, Doug. Of course, we start things off on a Monday, as we always do here, with the opening line. Some betting takeaways from the weekend. It was another wild weekend, of course, in college and the NFL. In fact, I'm going to start there, Doug. Like third week in a row in college football where we had a major program fire its coach, with Brian Kelly getting chopped by LSU last night. More big buyout money coming his way. Wild and crazy game. A lot of favorites in the NFL, of course, taking care of business. Pretty good, pretty wild weekend, Doug.
I was going to say, a very successful recreational betting Sunday. 9-2 ATS for favorites yesterday.
Yeah.
8-2-1 to the over. So really predictable stuff, for lack of a better word, although you had two outright upsets in convincing fashion, or I guess not convincing with the Jets, but they came back. And then obviously the Dolphins were one-sided game. So, NFL is awesome at many times. It can be maddening, but days like yesterday where games just played out like they should have, for the most part, of course, that's always kind of reassuring moving forward. So that's why it's a comforting sort of outcome weekend in the NFL.
And a great job by you, Steelers and Packers, up and away last night. You were saying that the over in that game was the way to go, and sure enough, it was fun watching the Packers.
My Bengals did me dirty, though. I will say my Bengals did me dirty.
Not a Survivor pick, was it? Did you go Survivor?
Yes, it was. A lot of contests. A lot of them.
I'm sorry, Doug. I am very sorry for that. But we get back on the horse here tonight, as we mentioned. Spoil, we can't really do that with Survivor. It's hard to do. Once you're out, you're out. But we're going to get back on the horse here tonight in week number 8 in the NFL and finish off the week Monday night in Kansas City. Washington Commanders, no Jaden Daniels, and the Kansas City Chiefs, who are now, of course, the Chiefs are back, Doug. This is it. Everybody else, they've been winning all these games the last few weeks. Yes, the Colts look good. Yes, the Broncos look good. But the Chiefs are there. This is now 10.5 at Bet Rivers for tonight. I actually saw 11.5, 12 this morning at Bet Rivers, Doug. So this has gone down a little bit here. 48 flat the total this evening.
So I was going to say it was a little higher. And this is an important thing. I think I touched on it early in the week, but it's worth mentioning today on game day. When Mariota gets inserted in mid-game, he's not really going to be ready. But if he gets a full week of practice, he's going to look a lot more competent. And the style of Mariota fits with Jaden Daniels. Is he another version carbon copy? Of course not. But this is not Cooper Rush backing up Lamar Jackson. This is a guy who can do similar stuff. So the offensive framework and structure, it makes sense that he's the backup. So I think he's going to look a little more competent. The problem is, I got to be honest, I talked to some Kansas City guys that were in town this weekend, and they're older, so they've seen a lot. And they said this is their best Chiefs team. And just the fact that the offense is caught up, has the weapons, and then they have the defense. Because when they had Tyreek Hill and everything, they didn't have this kind of a defense. Now Spags has this unit that's like an actual force, and you have Mahomes, and you have the weapons. This is a really tough beat. I lean Chiefs, but I can't get there on that. That's a big number. I think they're rolling, and that Jaguars outcome with the pick six and everything was fluky a few Mondays ago. So I lean Chiefs. I can't pull the trigger, though.
Yeah, when I woke up this morning, Doug, I was kind of thinking about the Chiefs of how we've had these last 4 or 5 weeks where everyone was kind of leaving them on the side of the road. This isn't going to be the Chiefs' year. Now they've come back the last few weeks. I feel like this is the time that they're going to win, but it's going to be like the Chiefs of the last few years. It's a big number at home, and Washington finds a way to cover this number, but the Chiefs still win. Like kind of like a 23-13 type of game, something like that, where the Chiefs just kind of take care of business. They got a huge game in Buffalo coming up on Sunday, but Washington hangs around enough or backdoors enough where they get it done. I always had the Chiefs of the last few years came into mind this morning, Doug, when I thought about it.
See that for sure. You're never teams aren't going to play as great as they've looked or as bad as they've looked. I mean, look at Miami bouncing back after that embarrassing performance in Cleveland. So you can't just assume you're going to get the Chiefs' best performance. They've been trending in the right direction. So I think a flat spot's coming. If it's tonight, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Anything in the player department for you tonight in this game? Of course, I like Pacheco a little bit. It's funny, like
Really?
a month ago we talked about how it seemed like Hunt was kind of taken over as the guy in the Kansas City
Yeah.
backfield. But now the last couple weeks, Hunt's had low single-digit carries. Pacheco's had double-digit carries. He's found his way back into the end zone. Plus 175 at Berrers. I'm going to go Pacheco to get in the end zone tonight.
The Rice caught my eye. It's 72.5 at Bet Rivers, overs minus 117. I mean, he seems to be the guy, right? Receptions is 6.5. That's a lot. I'd rather, against this Washington defense, I'd rather pick apart the yardage, but I just can't get there on anything. I can't pull the trigger here.
Bet Rivers does have you for a couple specials too. How about Monday Night Mischief? Patrick Mahomes to record 1+ rushing touchdown and 1+ passing touchdown versus the Commanders, boosted from plus 340 to plus 400. He does find his way in the end zone pretty more often than you'd think. I know you don't think of Patrick Mahomes, Doug, as a guy who running quarterbacks. But he's sneaky sometimes. He does get a little bit more burn, especially down inside the 5-10 than you would think.
The thing that's really important to remember is they don't ever run a sneak with him.
Right.
But it's funny, the guys I was just talking about, these Chiefs guys, they said he's been running a lot more. He's no longer just sliding or whatever. He is tucking in and running. So that, to your point, but don't expect something on the goal line or a 4th and inches. They sometimes run the shotgun and then someone Kelsey underneath and takes the sneak, or they do a run or a misdirection pass in the flat.
Yeah, no, they're not going to be doing any tush push with Patrick Mahomes.
No, because that's how he got hurt on a couple years ago, a few years ago on a Thursday against the Denver Broncos, if I'm not mistaken. That was late in the season. But I'm coming around on your Pacheco thing. I think that could be the right way to go about this. Just in terms of the yards, like his rushing yards, things like that. He does seem to have reclaimed his featured back sort of angle. So 50.5 at Bet Rivers is tempting.
And I think part of that, Doug, the last few weeks, if you think about it, especially maybe last week against the Raiders, when you get these games where the Chiefs get up 2-3 scores, they go more to that run game and they go more to trying to drop the hammer. I mean, when they're 10.5-point favorites tonight, you think they're going to have a multi-score lead at some point. That's probably when they're going to lean back to trying to drop the hammer with Pacheco in the run game. So I think it kind of correlates to if you think they're going to win big.
I can get behind that for sure. Yes.
Speaking of the Chiefs, as we do a little future look here after all the games on Sunday, the Chiefs are the favorites for the whole shebang, the Super Bowl championship, plus 500 at Bet Rivers as we sit here tonight before they play. Lions now plus 650. The Bills back at 7-1 after smashing the Panthers yesterday. Packers with a little bit of a bump after the impressive Sunday night win. And then you got all those other teams. Colts have been riding high. Broncos are at 18. There's your Monday look at the big board, Doug.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are sneaky because they have Herbert, and then they look so much more polished with Joe Alt back. So at 25-1 at Bet Rivers, that's what stands out to me. I can't get there with the Ravens at 20-1. I know the logic. I know the division. They won. Everyone else in the division lost this weekend. It was a very productive weekend for Baltimore. I'd rather bet on them to win the division, because once the playoffs start, you still get the playoff version of John Harbaugh and the Ravens. Like, they just don't do it in the postseason. So I just would give everyone a little pause there. None of the long shots. I mentioned Seattle really disappointed me in the offensive side of the ball. Now they were good on Monday night last week without Witherspoon and Love, but I asked some friends this week because sometimes it's just good to have a sports talk before you look at all the odds. It's if your life depended on it, Carver, and you had to pick 3 teams, I gave you 3 sort of teams to go to battle with, but to win it all. Forget the odds. Who would they be?
Chiefs, Eagles, and Bills, probably. And the Lions. I'd like to work the Lions maybe in there too.
It's funny. I went Chiefs, Eagles, Lions. So yeah,
the Bills is more my heart, odds, Doug. Bills is heart, maybe not head.
I know, but I mean, obviously they have Josh now. But I asked another guy, and his number 2 choice was the Colts.
Wow.
He said, "What more do you want? Their offense is so good, blah blah blah. Their defense." But the reason I asked that is, do we continue to sleep on the Colts at 11-1?
Probably, but I'll tell you this, and I know that they were flashing this up yesterday after their win. We're going to learn a lot more about the Colts in the next few weeks. Now, maybe going to Pittsburgh this week isn't that not going to be as impressive as a win.
We're going to truck them.
We think at Pittsburgh, Berlin for the Falcons, then the Chiefs. I guess the Chief game, Doug, is the one everyone has circled. They go to Arrowhead on November 23rd. I think that's the week where maybe people will start buying into the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Spags is going to try to eliminate Jonathan Stewart as much as you can, who, by the way, is at 20-1 to win the MVP. So we were ahead of that curve a little bit ago. I think he's going to make Daniel Jones beat him. The thing I guess is I'm most impressed is how reliable and resilient this Colts team is, despite having such a young, inexperienced coach and by NFL standards, and then having a quarterback that's been shaky in the past and inconsistent. So for the fact that they just keep showing up and smoking teams, I mean, they really should have won that Rams game, okay? So maybe they got a little lucky with the Broncos field goal and all that. But they should have, they had the drop touchdown and then the Mitchell holding. So that game was theirs. When they went to Rams and played that game and then they went back to LA and beat the Chargers, that's when I'm in on the Colts. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win it all, but they're for real. They belong in this discussion.
One last thing with the futures, because you just brought it up and I wanted to see what the number was. Can you believe, and you've been doing this a long time, a 2-5 team is minus I just said that, minus 121 at Bet Rivers to win the AFC North. That's what the Ravens are here after the win yesterday. That's wild.
Well, I mean, think about it, right? So let's say it's some sort of Muni tournament on the golf tour, right? And all the big guns are out, but Scheffler's playing. Maybe it's his home course or something. And he's like 7 strokes back after the second round. Going in the weekend, he makes the cut. He might be a minus 121 favorite because it's a bunch of Corn Ferry guys, right? So that's essentially what the Steelers are. They're Scheffler against some Corn Ferry guys, right? The Steelers defense, horrendous. Bengals on their third quarterback and don't have any defense. They just let let Justin Fields throw for 400 yards. Okay. Right. And then the Browns are done. So, and it's not like the Ravens have this, everyone's waiting for them to flip the switch. Kind of like Celtics Knicks last year in the playoffs. Well, they're down 3-1. The Celtics can flip the switch. Like, no, Lamar was hurt. And so if he's coming back, which we think he is next game, how can you not make him the favorite? There's a lot of time left. So it's about budgeting what the Ravens have left the rest of the year. And the Steelers defense obviously is atrocious.
Now, to be fair, Doug, there were some majors last year where Scotty Scheffler was 5 or 6 strokes back and he was still being booked as the favorite.
Right, he was the favorite, but he wasn't mince 120. It was kind of
not minus 120. No, not minus 120.
The Open champion, I think he was like 3-1 going on the weekend.
Unbelievable. Also tonight at Bet Rivers, NFL primetime, first touchdown, second chance bet. Users will receive a second chance token for any first touchdown wager each game day of the primetime NFL games. That's, of course, Thursdays, Sundays, and tonight, Mondays. See the Bet Rivers app for more details. NFL primetime, first touchdown, second chance bet. Probably use mine on Pacheco tonight in that game since I like Pacheco so much.
Kingsbury can script the first 15 plays or anything, get a nice drive.
It's possible. If I had to go,
I like it. I'm just throwing it out there.
If there's a Washington guy, you see the one thing about Washington, and we didn't, they are getting McLaurin and Debo back tonight, right? Like, it's still Mariota. But, with Debo in there, Doug, you do maybe get some trickery, maybe the end arounds, Debo more in the run game. There's, I guess, a couple of other wrinkles you could throw in because you actually have all your weapons at receiver.
Kind of what I'm thinking. That's why I'm just reluctant to bet the Chiefs because I do think there's an element of that, and I think Mariota full week of practice, and I think highly of Kingsbury. I just don't think highly of the defense, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go to the over because it still spags against Mariota.
Remember, even though Jaden Daniels went out last week against the Cowboys, they still gave up 40-plus points. Wouldn't have mattered if Jaden Daniels was playing or not. Their defense gave up 40-plus points to the Cowboys. All right, stop number 2 on Monday night, Sports Equinox on Betting Weekly Live is Major League Baseball Game 3 of the World Series. The scene shifts to Los Angeles and Chavez Ravine as the Blue Jays will send Max Scherzer out to the mound against Tyler Glasnow. Minus 225 tonight for the Dodgers, plus 175 for the Jays. Total now up to 8.5. It was flat 8 a couple hours ago. Look, good thing I got in earlier, Doug. 8.5 now.
I mean, obviously you can adjust at the Bet River site and app, which I think is a really cool option. You can do a sliding integer line or whatever you want to call it, which is great. Sliding scale, right? I think this is a tough handicap because Max Scherzer has it in him, right? We've seen some vintage performances from some old farts, for lack of a better word, and that's what makes it so compelling. Glasnow has been fantastic, but the Blue Jays don't swing and miss. We saw that in Game 1. They rarely strike out, although Yamamoto was awesome. Excuse me. So a lot of moving parts here. I'm on the nerfy here. I can't get there with the side or total, and I respect your over. And why I'm on the nerfy will actually speak to it. So, what kind of pitcher is Max Scherzer? He's not a guy who's going to nibble. Okay, if it's runners on the corners with one out, he's not trying to get out of the inning with the least amount of damage. Like he'll give up a 3-run homer before he walks a guy. So, I think. Not that I would do it, but it's almost like I'd bet under a half run and then over 2.5 in the first inning. Like the variance of Scherzer, like he's going to only put up crooked numbers is my point. I love Glasnow here, but I just think Scherzer will battle, and every half run matters to him. So that's why I kind of like it because usually a pitcher in the first inning, guys on first and second, nobody out. Like he'll just be like, I just want to get out of this with giving up 1 run. Scherzer won't. He'll challenge guys and throw. And I do think he's such a psycho that he's going to dial it up a few more miles per hour in the first inning. He'll get me so fired up. So I think that's why Nerfy has a little edge here.
I don't mind the Nerfy. Can you give up some runs in the second, third, and fourth? After that, can we get after the Nerfy? You got so much out of him in that game against Seattle, right? Like you saw some vintage stuff from Max Scherzer that, yelling at him, you're not taking me out of the game. He's yelling at Schneider, and he gave you so much. I don't know if you're getting that again. And then you also mix in, Doug, how the Dodgers just destroy righties. And this is a righty that they've seen many times. There's nothing new here. This isn't like Yusevich, who they've never seen before. They know Max Scherzer. And on the other side, the guys on the Blue Jays, they know Tyler Glasnow. I mean, Springer destroys him. Vlad has seen him a lot. I think if there's going to be a night, Doug, where maybe we can get another one of these big scores, it's here. Because I think tomorrow night, Bieber and Ohtani, that could be a little low score tight. I think tonight is maybe where we get the runs with Scherzer and Glasnow.
I can see it for sure. I mean, there's no confidence I have that Scherzer's going to be lights out all game. I just think he's going to fight for that under half. Like he's not a guy who's going to. So if you get a leadoff double, he's going to want to prevent that guy from scoring. So that's why I kind of like it. It's just the bet lines up with what I think the mindset will be, at least of Scherzer.
For me, I love the total bases. I'm going to go with George Springer tonight. 6 for 13 with a homer off of Glasnow in his career. Hits well at Dodgers. He's obviously had some moments at Dodger Stadium in the past as well. So I do like George Springer over 1.5 total bases. He's gone over it in both games so far in this series. So we're going to try and make that 3 for 3. And man, Freeman now 55 at bats is a really big sample size. He's obviously seen Scherzer a lot. 11 for 55 with 3 homers off of Scherzer. So maybe they get Freddie Freeman going tonight too. Doug, because he's kind of had a little bit of a quiet first couple games.
Bats are going to wake up. I just don't know when. But the Dodgers bats are going to wake up at home. They do rake at home.
They certainly do. As far as the series goes, Dodgers back to minus 240 after the Game 2 win the other night. So now, Doug, best of 5, 3 in LA, 2 in Toronto. I'm pretty confident that we're going to go back to Toronto for Game 6. I still think the Dodgers are going to win the series. I think the Blue Jays will at least get one of these games in Los Angeles.
Well, it's kind of why I said, sort of half kidding, when I was like, I think the Blue Jays want to be on the road to start the series, because if you are the home team but a significant underdog, we're seeing right now how that can rear its ugly head, because if you just get a split and you're the Dodgers, then you're coming home with home field advantage. And that's the difference. Now, 3 in a row is a lot different than 2-2, 1-1-1 the rest of the way. So I think the series price feels right. But, I said it before the series, like, this is not the NBA. This is not predictable. It's baseball. And the Blue Jays are worthy enough and can certainly win the series.
Anything can happen, as always. Bet Rivers tonight for the World Series. MLB World Series home run 50% bet match. Eligible players may opt in and place a pre-match wager on any player to hit a home run and receive a 50% match bonus bet to use on the game live. See the Bet Rivers app and website for full details. I mean, you're going to pull me in on this one. It'll be Springer for me. I'm going to take Springer tonight when I use the promo there. And also, don't forget, immediately following tonight's World Series game number 3, head over to the Toronto Sports Rush channel, part of the Bet Rivers Network, for live post-game reaction. Dan O'Toole, Kyle Andrew, and CJ Nitkowski. Those guys have got you all covered tonight. Toronto Sports Rush channel after Game 3 of the World Series. All right, 2 down, Doug. 2 to go for the Equinox. And join us in the chat here in the chat box. Let us know what you like in the sports Equinox here this evening. We did the football. We did the baseball. We've got NBA this evening. 11 games tonight in the association. And you got I guess this is the first time we're getting the Peacock doubleheader, Doug, right? Now this is going to be Monday nights.
That's right.
Peacock.
Because we had Amazon last week.
Yeah, Amazon was Friday night. They had the doubleheader. And now you get yourself the other streamer. You'll get Peacock this evening. Cavs, Pistons, Nuggets, Timberwolves. We'll start with the Cavs and the Pistons in the early game here. Right now, minus 2.5 Cavs, road favorite in Detroit, 231 flat the total.
This is a really good game. Pistons have sort of flexed. They really held off the Celtics yesterday. I thought that was a nice win for them. They were the better team. They were favored, but still they held off a frisky Boston team trying to gun for its first win. Cavs, we saw them in the opener lose to the Knicks, but then they bounced back. Mobley's been really a different animal, trying to stretch the defense with 3-pointers. I think the number feels right. Cavs, there's something off about them. That's why I can't lay it, because I do think the Pistons are due for a little bit of a regression to the negative. But this Cavs team's off big wins themselves. They just beat Milwaukee at home, and it's nice to have DeAndre Hunter back. That's important. But I'm going to go same game parlay. Ooh. I think this looks really good in my eyes. So Sam Merrill is a sharpshooter. I believe he went to Utah State. He just bombs like 9 attempts a game. So I just need 3+ to make, which is minus 200. But I'm going to parlay with Evan Mobley to make at least 1 made 3-pointer. He shoots a lot, about 5 or 6. Just need 1 to go. And when he shoots them, he's like it's like a big hasn't gone back on out to him. He's got time to gather and line up his feet and everything. So that same game parlay is minus a quarter. I think it's a really good bet.
Like it. Sam Merrill 3+, Mobley 1+, minus $1.25.
Yeah, I mean, Merrill's been drilling like 4 or 5 a game. So I think just getting 3 should have plenty of open looks in this game against Detroit.
The second game of that doubleheader, like we mentioned, which, say the TV doubleheader, I used to say, Doug, now you say the streamer doubleheader for it. Nuggets and the Timberwolves in Minnesota, man. Nice effort by the T-Wolves Friday night in Los Angeles. Jeez, that was brutal.
I'm so mad, dude. Look, I thought Luka would be out, right? I was like, he's got a growing injury. He goes for like $1 million, and then now he's out a week. It's like, what do we?
You had it. I don't understand why they played him that night. Like you said,
so ridiculous.
You knew he was hurt, but the crazy part, like you say, is he's hurt, but he still had like 1 million points in the game and carried him on his back. And then he's out and Reeves goes nuts for the Lakers over the weekend. So
inexcusable. It's really like inexcusable.
It's Nuggets.
That's the Lakers for you.
Nuggets. That's the Laker basketball. -6.5 for the Nuggets here on the road. No, and 229 flat, of course, is the total here tonight. So the Timberwolves come home, but they are hurting, Doug.
Yeah, Ant's out a couple weeks. That's big. They'll figure it out. They'll get some offense, but they're not as loaded. I think Denver takes care of business here. Remember the T-Wolves front office built this team to beat the Nuggets. For the current GM came over from Denver. He was in their front office. Nuggets are loaded, man. I was on them on Saturday, laid the 13. It was a good spot against the Suns. This is not a great spot, so it's a mere lean or really small play. But I do think laying the number on the road is the right approach.
Let's take a look at a few of these other games here this evening because, like we said, big night in the NBA. We'll go to Houston next, where you got a couple of winless teams here. Now, we expected the Nets to be 0-3 to start the year. Rockets are 0-2, but to be fair, they played the Thunder, played the Pistons. They didn't play stiffs. They played a couple good teams, but the Rockets are 0-2 to start the year. But now they're laying the big number tonight. 16 against Brooklyn at home. 225.5 the total.
Okay, so if you look at some splits with this Rockets team, they have not been a good second quarter team. It's Durant starts the second quarter on the bench, and they're having trouble. We know about their point guard issues. They're letting Amen Thompson have it. They're going with the tall lineup, 6'10" average height. And they're figuring it out. It's a work in progress. But to your point, Carver, they've only lost to the Pistons and Thunder was double overtime. They had that game won. I think it's a great spot to back Houston. Don't want to lay 16. Heck, I don't even want to lay the first half number because the Rockets are a really bad second quarter team, but they're a good first quarter team, and the Nets are not. Nets have start two guys I've never heard of. So can Cam Thomas go off? Sure. But I'm going to lay the number in the first quarter here. It's 4.5. I think that's the right way to play this game. I think there's line value. Now, Kevin Durant and Amen Thompson do leave the game with 3 minutes to go. So that's negative. So if I were to bet, if this was like a pick 'em, I would be betting first to 20 points, first to 25 points, something like that, because it would optimize the entire time Durant's in the game and Thompson for that matter. And the Rockets are not a deep team. The depth is an issue, and Reed Shepherd is an absolute turnstile on defense. But I think he can get some points. So I also like the Rockets to score, and their team total first quarter over 31.5 points. The reason I like that is because the Nets have been absolutely boat raced in the first quarter of all their games. They're just giving up 1 million points because they're pushing pace themselves. Thomas wants to get his looks. So I think the Rockets first quarter over 31.5. Now, look, the offense can bog down, blah, blah, blah. I still think it's the right play.
I love it, Doug, because like you said, the Nets have come out, their starting unit, and they have gotten completely smashed in all three of these games. Now, they fought back to get the cover against Cleveland in their second game. It was just, you talk about garbage time in that second half because Cleveland was completely thumping them, and the Nets had a rally. But I love it. A little first quarter action there and go with it. Houston has a good defense, doesn't it? The Amish Farmer asking about Houston's defense. I mean, they're supposed to with all those big guys. But look, if there's a team that you're 0-2, Doug, and you need to get off the mat, it seems like Brooklyn's the right team that you got in your building.
They're the nice prescription for a bagel in the win column. But, I mean, give Brooklyn some credit. They've actually played three opponents that are – now, Charlotte is not world beaters, but they've played some good teams. They're not 0-3 against like the Suns and Kings. So I would just think the team total is the best way in that Houston game.
Yep. Let's go next to the Jazz. And we've talked about them quite a bit here in the first week of the season. Jazz at home tonight against the Suns. Jazz favored -1.5, 231.5 now. Totals up a little bit here at Bet Rivers.
I believe they're called my Utah Jazz, Carver. That's my team over 18.5. Now, I faded them in opening night, but never again. Came back. Look, they won outright by like 25 points as a 10-point dog. Okay? Just think about that. Then they go on the road and take the Kings down to the wire and lose by 1 in the final second. They're very well coached, and they have enough pieces until they start trading them off and everything. I think this is a good bet. I would have made this line 3. I really think the Suns are not very good at all. Booker's great, but they got some issues, and The Jazz are connected, and they bomb threes. So I like them to take advantage of the Suns.
And one other one here. Portland's in Los Angeles against the Lakers tonight. -2.5 for the Blazers. We talked about the Lakers before. It's wild every single night. There's no Luka. We know that. Portland out to a 1-2 start so far this year. Late night game, 10:30 East tip here. -2.5 Blazers, 227.
Austin Reeves, -121 at Bet Rivers to be the highest scorer of the game.
Ooh.
Goes for 51 last night. I would imagine might be a little tired, but that does look pretty good, right? His point prop is 28.5. I think it was 24 or 25.5 yesterday. I think the Blazers are the right side. I just think, look, the Kings are bad. I mean, DeAndre Ayton went for 21 and 14. That tells you all you need to know about Sacramento. I think Portland lost, but played hard against the Clippers.
Yep.
I think the right side here is the Blazers. Look, let me go on a limb and say the Blazers did not go out partying last night, given what their head coach is going through in nightlife and everything. I think this is a business trip. I think they have a really good depth on the team. Some of these guys are really shining, like Shaedon Sharpe and some of these other guys. I think the Blazers get this done. Too much DeAndre Ayton. Like they're going to find a way to handle Reeves and at least keep him from scoring 50.
That's very true. And you bring up a great point. This is a back-to-back for both teams, but for Portland, it's a no travel back-to-back because they were, of course, in Los Angeles against the Clippers last night. They stay in town, maybe just a little bit. Maybe they went out for an hour, Doug. Maybe just an hour or two after the game. That's all. They weren't out.
Yeah, I mean, you always got to worry about the LA flu. Usually, if you win the game one, that's the key. But maybe they'll get rewarded tonight if they win, something like that. But I also think the Lakers. Look, LeBron's going to be out a few weeks. Reeves was incredible. He's 1 assist away from a 50-point triple-double. Okay, I'm just going to bet on that not happening again, and I'm going to bet on DeAndre Ayton, who's playing his former team, and they hate him. Yeah. 21-14 is not happening again.
I will never forget him slipping on the ice outside his house or whatever, and not showing up to a game for the Blazers. I mean, just too icy.
You seen the video of him doing? I think it was him. Call Me Maybe with Mo Bamba. Go check that out. It's a new generation here, Carver.
One for me tonight, Doug. That's right. I found something in the NBA that interested me, and it's because it's a team I've been going to. Yeah. Raptors have gone over every game. I mean, every game is the same. It's a track meet, and the Spurs have been scoring plenty of points as well. 232.5, up and away. Toronto and San Antonio tonight down on the Riverwalk. Let's go, Doug.
Every time I see a Raptors game on one of my TVs or a score flash on the bottom, I think of you, Carver. You're all in. You're all in. Look, there's some teams. If there's 82 games and half would be 41, I mean, there's times where teams have gone 58 games to the over, right? Like there's been some lopsided results in that regard. So if the Raptors are going to be that team for you, fine. These odds makers are getting buried on some of these overs. Like it's been so low, all things considered.
Yeah, they've been flying over some of these games. There you go. Tonight in the NBA for you here on Betting Weekly Live. Of course, tomorrow night, a couple good ones too, Doug. Knicks Bucks in Milwaukee tomorrow night. Clippers Warriors as well. So we'll talk about all that on tomorrow's edition of the show. All right, hockey tonight. We do have a couple of games in the NHL of our Sports Equinox night, light night on the ice. We have St. Louis in Pittsburgh against the Penguins, who are out to a great start. You talk about unexpected great starts. The Penguins would fall into that category as they are 6-2-1 to start the year. The Blues are a slight road favorite here in Pittsburgh, -113. It's about the same. Flat 6 for the total. And the Bruins are in Ottawa against the Senators tonight. With the Senators -175, plus $1.35 for Boston, and a flat 6 there as well. I will tell you, Doug, I like the over in the Blues-Penguins game tonight. These Penguin games have been track meets, and the Blues have been playing some pretty wild scores as well. I mean, they've been losing in these games with the wild scores, but the Blues have played a couple of pond hockey games. So I'm going to go over tonight in Pittsburgh with the Blues and the Pens.
Is their home arena still affectionately known as the Igloo?
No, they have been in the they have been in the PPG arena now for a little while. In fact,
shouldn't their arena be the Igloo? Like, it's not the name of the actual arena, it's the name of wherever the Penguins play.
You know what? I like that, Doug. They should always just call it the Igloo, even though the old Igloo, the Civic Arena, has been gone for a while down there in Pittsburgh. But you should still call the PPG Arena the Igloo. I like that, Doug. I'm going to talk to my Pittsburgh people about that.
Inherent with like the shape, like Chris Berman would call the new Soldier Field's the spaceship. Now, if the Bears ever move and it doesn't look like a spaceship, you don't have to call it a spaceship. But if it's inherent with the mascot, like the Shark Tank is for San Jose, wherever the Sharks play should be called the Shark Tank.
I have not heard. I think it's because the people in that town, in Pittsburgh's a great sports town. They love their teams.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they were so upset. And I'm not upset they were losing the Igloo because, I mean, at the end of the day, it was time for a new building. But I don't think they wanted to take that moniker away from the old Igloo and call the new place that. That's the only thing I can think of. It's like here on Long Island, the Nassau Coliseum, they finally had to end things, Doug. But that was the old barn, the barn on Hempstead Turnpike. And now, even though that this new building's on Hempstead Turnpike, they don't call it the barn, UBS. You can't call it that because it's not the old barn. So that's kind of probably
it's the name of the structure, right? The like Berman also calls the Allegiant Stadium here in Vegas the big Roomba because it looks like a big Roomba, and that's great, right? So if the Raiders get a new stadium in Vegas and it doesn't look like a Roomba, you don't call it the Roomba. But I do think the Pens should play in the Igloo always.
Well, let's get an over in the Igloo at PPG tonight between the Penguins and the Blues, and in the other game, a little bit of a lean to Boston as on the dog side tonight. I don't think Ottawa hasn't played well. I don't think Ottawa should be minus 175 against anybody. So I'm going to take a shot with the Bruins tonight, who beat Colorado over the weekend, 4-1. So you beat Colorado, even though they weren't playing too well before that. I'm willing to take a shot on you at plus 135 against a team that I don't think is that great, Doug. So I'll go Bruins tonight on the ice too.
Fair enough. I'm with you. I mean, I can get behind that for sure.
Hockey for us. And there it is, the Sports Equinox for you. Swayman is starting tonight, back up for Ottawa, different game to assess. Bruins are horrible, but I understand the Bruins are horrible, Amish Farmer, but I think they've played a little bit better than Ottawa. I don't think Ottawa's that great. So, and I feel like this should be a little closer in price between the two of them. So we'll go with the Bruins this evening. That's kind of where I'm going to go.
Little live dog action. I like it.
Live dog. We got. I'm probably going to throw in the fun Happy Meal Sports Equinox parlay, Doug, that I have to do tonight because that's what you do on the Sports Equinox. I need to throw a juicy dog in for the NHL leg. There's only 2 games, so I'll put the Bruins in as the fun Happy Meal Sports Equinox parlay for tonight. College football from the weekend. And a look at the futures. I mentioned to you at the top, obviously Brian Kelly chopped after LSU got smashed by Texas A&M on Saturday night. You had another wild weekend. Iowa State really bothered me, Doug. I was very upset how they were kind of in control of the game and then just completely let go of the rope in the second half and let BYU completely blow by them. Texas had to hang on for their lives, come back and beat Mississippi State on the road. Lots of stuff from the weekend in college.
Gross push cover for Texas and just luck box. But it looks like Arch is in concussion protocol. So we'll see his availability moving forward. I believe they have a big game, but not that, the graphic says futures. Not that I'm in a rush to bet the Texas Longhorns on any futures. I will say Tennessee's caught my eye. And as a sports bettor, Carver, you know this, but just to our listeners and our audiences, you got to be able to stay nimble and flexible. I've been poo-pooing this Vols team, didn't think they had sort of the goods to make a run, but the more I watch other teams and Tennessee, I think 60-1 is tempting. Look, they have 2 losses. I get it, but they're to Georgia and Alabama. I wouldn't be shocked if a 3-loss SEC team gets in the playoffs. Tennessee rolled Kentucky. By the way, Mark Stoops is an idiot and doesn't understand play calling and offensive execution at the end of the first half. Just completely moronic across the board. I mean, you have first down, clock running on like the 20-yard line. The other team has 1 timeout, and you end up going net 0 points the rest of the half because you score too quickly because you're an idiot. And you give up 7 because you don't know how to, like, they'd be better off taking 3 knees and kicking a field goal. So I think Tennessee has some legs. I'm I'm not willing to rule out a 3-loss SEC team in the playoff. Now, they're not going to get a bye week, obviously, so they're going to have to win 3 games. But that's why you got to look at 60-1 for some of these teams that I think will start out on the road and not get a bye and things like that. For the futures to be worth it, it has to be a long shot still. I don't think you can nickel and dime value at this point at Notre Dame at 9-1, even though I think they're going to the playoff. I do think they have a shot to win it. And I did the same thing I did with you, or I guess a little bit different of an exercise. How many teams do you think right now can win it all in college football? I counted about 12.
Yeah,
I really did.
I think it's I probably 7 to 9 range is probably where I would.
Yeah, so I do think Ohio State, Indiana, Bama, I think they're on a tier by themselves, but I mean they're beatable. This isn't the college football playoff era when there were 4 teams and really only 2 of them had a shot to win it, sometimes 3.
Yeah.
The long shot never had a chance. Never. Like they didn't score. So I do think if you look at the rankings, now it's not in straight like mirroring of the odds, but like Georgia Tech's like 9th in the country, but they're like 50-1. I don't think they can win them.
Right.
But I do think like some of these teams that are 12th and 13th, I think have a shot if they get in. And I do see a path for Tennessee to get in. Remember, they lost by 3 to Georgia, and then they lose to Bama, but that pick 6 at the end of the first half. I would say Tennessee's like a potential. So I think 60-1. You have to take a little nibble because the rest of the schedule doesn't play out. And a lot of times the schedules that we thought were going to be so rough, oh, look at that November for so-and-so. It's like, well, is it really that easy? I mean, right now they have to go to Florida in the swamp, but now they get Vanderbilt at home. Vanderbilt's good. They're a top 10 team. Right. I think there's about 12 teams that could win it all.
I was going to ask you about this team, and good job. Needleman's in on the Vols. I just saw that on the bottom.
Okay,
of the screen.
all right.
So,
Water's warm over here.
Needleman. I saw somebody else say the world was on Iowa State. Unfortunately, I was
part
of the world.
They were.
The world was on Iowa State. And
let me rephrase that. The world of pro bettors were
right.
the recreation. I was in the sports book, and a lot of squares in the pub. A lot of tourists had BYU were cheering.
Right. Texas A&M. Obviously, unbelievable. 8-0, smash LSU. They're 9-1 right now. And it's like you say, you got to start to think of these things like, who do I think is going to be the last 4? Who's going to be the last 8? Who's going to get a bye? Who's going to get? And you start to look at Texas A&M and you go, man, Missouri, South Carolina, they obviously finished with Texas. Can they go undefeated? They'd still have to win a SEC. But if they were undefeated and lost an SEC title game, they might still be 4th and get a bye.
I think the loser of Big Ten SEC title game, if they're undefeated and then lose that one game, will be the 4th seed. I think it could be Indiana. If they play Ohio State close and lose, or if Ohio State loses, we'll see about that as well. But I think that's a good call, and I think the rest of the schedule, like you said, is favorable. I worry about A&M's defense, but they're just going to be playing a lot of overs. I'm kicking myself for not betting their overs every week.
Yeah, no doubt about that. They're supposed to be like Elko, defensive-minded team. They're going to play
right.
That has not been Texas A&M this year. It just hasn't. Even the Notre Dame game was high scoring earlier in the year. Ohio State
41-40 if I'm not mistaken.
Ohio State versus Indiana for the championship, the Bobby Knight Bowl there later on. Look, Alabama looks solid. Look, Alabama, they had themselves, but you get those in the SEC, Doug, what Alabama had on Saturday. They just went through a gauntlet of games, huge wins over Georgia.
Like South Carolina a lot in that game.
And look at South Carolina gave Alabama all they could handle. Alabama won. They didn't cover, but that's what you sometimes need to do to get through that SEC season. So I think Alabama's like, look, I'm interested to see, Doug, who's going to play in this game. If Texas A&M, Georgia, Alabama, Vandy, who's going to be in that SEC title game? And when this all shakes out over the next 4
It'll be the 2 undefeated teams right now in conference play, A&M and Bama. They're both undefeated in conference play. I think they get there.
And they don't play each other either, so that's gonna set them up for potentially that spot. Another good week ahead. Of course, tomorrow we'll start to dive in a little bit more to the games coming up this week. I know that we do have Vandy at Texas. See if Pavia can keep things rolling. We've got. I know we're not allowed to call it the cocktail party anymore, right, Doug? We can't.
I call it that.
I do too. I do too. I don't believe in their rules. And Penn State and Ohio State, of course. It's Penn State, 3-4, traveling to the shoe where they're 20.5-point dogs. What was that line in the summer, Doug? That Penn State Ohio State game. What was they remember?
8.5 or something, 6.5, something like that.
We're up a little bit more now, up in the 20s. There you go for college football. All right, before we get out of here, let's do some best bets. And along with the best bets, we're going to give you the daily double here today as well on Betting Weekly Live. I am going to go tonight, Doug, with that over. I'm really thinking that Scherzer and Glasnow are going to get nicked up a little bit here, as long as it's after the first inning. Because we want everybody to eat. We want everybody to eat here. So we want to get the nerfy for Doug, and then we want to get the over for me. So I'm going to go the over in the Blue Jays and the Dodgers tonight, and the over in that Blues-Penguins game on the ice, Doug. Those are my two.
I really should look into first inning. I'm just doing it right now. Tie is -130. Nerfy's -122. So late change. Let's just do tie first period.
Okay.
130. So we can each go 3-3. How about that?
All right, we could do that too. There's nothing that works out for everybody if we go in that direction. Give me a best bet for tonight, Doug, and then I'll give you what the daily double will be for it.
I'm going to go back to that Rockets. The NBA, like a lot of sports, is all about situational handicapping. I just think it's a really good spot to back the Rockets. And typically they've been an excellent first quarter team. And then I think with the sub rotations and Josh Okogie and things like that, things drop off a little bit the second. You never know when you're playing the Nets, but first quarter over 31.5 points, I feel really good about with Houston.
Let's go, baby. Up, and away in H-Town. So the daily double for Betting Weekly Live here on Monday, a Sports Equinox Monday. Toronto and the Dodgers over 8. Rockets over 31.5 first quarter points. Plus 257 at Bet Rivers. Let's go, Doug. Put them in. Let's go.
I'm surprised the WNBA hasn't complained about us using this as the Sports Equinox, because usually they get all bent out of shape that they are not regarded as it. Because like when they say, when the Knicks or whatever, the Yankees got eliminated, it's like, oh, they haven't won a title in the 4 major sports. And they're like, oh, the Liberty. It's like, well, they said the 4 major sports.
Well, sometimes, yeah, I know that sometimes the MLS gets upset about that too. On occasion, MLS wants to be included. I understand. They've got their playoffs going on right now as well. But listen, the 4 major sports that have been around for a very long time. Okay, maybe 30 years from now, it's possible the WNBA and the MLS will be included on the Sports Equinox Day. But for now, Doug, this is what we go with, and that is these 4.
Look, I like me some WNBA, but you just got to recognize where you are as of now, right? This is year 28 or whatever it is. That's okay. The NBA in the 70s and 80s was, not popular. So,
we want to pull
eventually the 80s, but yeah.
Want to really start pulling teeth. I could say I don't have a golf tournament tonight. I guess how could it be? There's no PGA. I got no.
We have no action tonight. What are we talking about?
We will have college tomorrow.
Yeah.
I believe. Who's before I leave? I know I'm going. Let me see who's playing tomorrow night for you, Doug, before I get out of here. UTEP and Kennesaw State, James Madison and Texas State. Fun Belt tomorrow night. Little JMU Fun Belt. So there you go. Doug, let's have a great night. Huge night. Everybody, 4 major North American sports that have been around for decades are playing this evening. So everybody enjoy. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Betting Weekly Live, Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian, Betting Weekly Studios, part of the Bet Rivers Network. We will see you back here tomorrow, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. Pacific. Have a great night.